The Florida Gators have once again added to their 2026 recruiting class with the commitment of safety Kaiden Hall.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. Happy Wednesday. I am Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all of my written work with New York Giants on SI. Today's episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel. New customers get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins with FanDuel. And like I mentioned, the Florida Gators added to their 2026 recruiting class once again with safety Kaiden Hall. He is a 4-star everywhere except for 24/7, where he is a 3-star. And we did go live after his commitment yesterday evening. I was going to say last night, but evening. And he is a 4-star with On3. He's the 151st player nationally, 15th safety, 22nd player in the state of Florida. He is a 3-star on 24/7, where he is unranked nationally, is 42nd safety overall, 68th player in the state of Florida. On ESPN, he is a 4-star, 183rd player nationally, 13th safety, 29th player in the state of Florida. And the highest ranked place for him is with Rivals. He is the 125th ranked player, 6th ranked safety, and the 17th ranked player in the state of Florida. 6'3"-ish, 200 pounds. He said, depending on where you look, he's a 6'2" or 6'3", 200 pounds roughly, give or take, 5 or 10. And I mean, he's just a baller, right? We'll do the scouting report similar to how we did for yesterday's episode of Locked On Gators. If you didn't see it, we did three segments scouting report, one on each commit in the 2026 class, and obviously now Kaiden Hall is the 4th commit in the class. But Florida has really picked up traction in recent weeks and months. We've been talking about this, where he's been picking up traction, or they've been picking up traction with him. He had a commitment date set for July 1st. He moved that commitment date to, guess what? Yesterday, because he committed yesterday for the Florida Gators. I will say I'm very intrigued to know what's going on with the visits, because I know that, he said, and we didn't know this yesterday when he committed, but he chose Florida. He committed to Florida over Florida State, Alabama, and Oklahoma. And those are the 3 schools that he had previously scheduled visits with. And so he committed to Florida yesterday. He was on campus this past weekend for an official visit. And when he committed, he said he's shutting it down. And I always get weary of that, because here's the thing also, we've talked about this specific topic in recent days, even with players who they commit and then say they're shutting it down. Because one, Florida had 2 players in the 2026 class alone in Jalen Waters and Isaiah Williams, who both said that they were shutting it down. Both said they were 100% committed to the Florida Gators, and then they decommitted. And so we've seen that happen already with this 2026 class for the Florida Gators, and we saw it happen with 2024 and 2025. But I'm always curious about those commitments, because when you cancel the visit, and again, this is what we talked about with Janari Carr, of you can cancel a visit, but I feel like for some players, you might have that, oh, did I make the right decision? Guess or doubt. If you cancel your visits and you don't go on anymore. Whereas I know for fans and coaches, of course, we prefer that you would, hey, I'm committing, I'm shutting it down. But I just think of from the player perspective, for, if you stick with those visits and you're still like, all right, well, Florida's still the place to go, then you have that definitively. You know your place to go. You know where you want to be. You know where home is for you. And so you can have that. I do think Kaiden Hall made the right decision, by the way. I think he chose a very great program that is heading up, trending up, let's say. But he is reportedly canceling those visits. We'll see what happens later down the line. And that's not to say that I have any doubt in Kaiden Hall's decision or anything. It's just, this is recruiting in 2025. It's, yeah, I'm gonna cancel my visits, and then, you lose a game or two, and then all of a sudden visits pop up. And so we'll see where this goes. I also think that Kaiden Hall, I think he's going to see a bit of a climb in the rankings. I think that 24/7 is set to update theirs in, I want to say July is when their next ranking update's coming in. So should see a jump in there. And if you don't see a jump, they're just not doing their due diligence. Because I don't know, you watch the film and he's a damn good safety. He's someone that, has said, they're telling me I'm more of a free safety type of player, which I explained this yesterday on the live show when Kaiden Hall committed, that really free, strong, very outdated. It's field, it's boundary. And for Florida, they ran a lot of too high looks. So both safeties are doing a lot of the same things. It's just depending on what the call is, but there could be any given play where it's Jordan Castell and Bryce Thornton, and they could both be set as a deep safety. One play, Bryce Thornton could play single high over the top, and Jordan Castell can come down into the box. And on the next play, they can flip, and Jordan Castell could be the deep safety, and Bryce Thornton can come down into the box. So I don't think that it really matters what he's being told he's going to play as far as, you're going to play this safety spot or not. I think that his skill set leaves him very capable of playing both safety spots, again, because they're pretty interchangeable. And I think he's capable of playing that star spot as well. But I don't think that's where they're going to play him. So I will say that it's just one of those things where I think he could do it. I just don't know if they're going to ask him to do it. And also with Kaiden Hall's commitment, Florida has the chance to have back-to-back years with tremendous safety classes, right? For 2025, as in the 2025 class, you had Hilton Stubbs, Laganza Hayward coming in, and that's just stud safety group right there, right? Stud safety duo there. Then now you got Kaiden Hall. You are still heavily recruiting Braylon Womack, who I still think is trending Ohio State, but anything could change at the blink of a hat, drop of a hat, blink of an eye. I just combined them both there. But for Florida, you are moving with Vinnie Sunseri as your safeties coach. And that was a hire that at the time that the hire was made was, we'll say, controversial in the Florida Gators fan base. But once Vinnie Sunseri got hired, it was, hey, Florida's now in it for Braylon Womack, highly ranked safety, elite safety recruit. And Kaiden Hall is another player that Florida, when they hired Vinnie Sunseri, it was like, hey, Florida's in it now more than they were previously because he's got a relationship. So it's not like you're completely rebuilding anything. In fact, for Kaiden Hall, it was, hey, I already have a relationship with Vinnie Sunseri, and now he's coming to Florida. And that's huge for Florida to continue building out this safety class, continue building out this 2026 class in general, because I do think that there's a ton of upside for this class, and I do think that we're going to see quite a few names coming in there over the next few weeks. And like I said yesterday on the live show, I'd be willing to bet that Kaiden Hall is not the final commit of the week for the Florida Gators 2026 class. We'll talk about some more of those commits and positions when we get back with Locked On Gators. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances. We got the NBA Finals coming out here with the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers after my New York Knicks just crapped the bed and then fired Tom Thibodeau. So there's that. But whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action, and FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. If you're watching this, you're probably a Florida Gators fan. Jack Caglione is called up to the Kansas City Royals, so go ahead and bet his home run. He debuted at plus 600, or in his debut, he was plus 600 to hit a home run on Dinger Tuesday. If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If that wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free, whether it's the podcast and on YouTube. And for the rest of the show, we're going to talk about what this Florida Gators 2026 recruiting class looks like, what could be changing, because, of course, this is still a class that just a couple weeks ago it was, oh, they've got 1 commit, let's troll them. And then now Florida has 4 commits, which is still not a lot. People are still going to troll. But like we mentioned yesterday during the Kaiden Hall live show, Florida, yeah, you were in the hundreds and you were in the 80s. And look, it's not going to be a thing where you get 1 commit and all of a sudden it's like, holy crap, we got a top 3 class. That's not going to happen. That's not how things work. We know this. You look at the end of the 2025 recruiting class, and you look at where they were at the Texas game in the 70s to finishing top 7. All the teams that were trolling Florida and talking about Florida ended up behind Florida. We know that it takes time. It takes a lot of commits, but once you fill out that class, you're looking pretty damn good. And so for Florida, I don't think that there's a ton of concern. For at least from my perspective, there's not a ton of concern for just filling out this class and building it up. You've got quarterback Will Griffin has been the guy. He committed on June 1st last year, still committed to this point over a year. And you've got him as your QB. Like that's your guy, where he's the guy you build this team around, you build this class around. Because as we've spoken about before, when you're building out a recruiting class, you essentially want to build the team, right? You want a quarterback, at least 1 running back, probably 2. You want at least 3 receivers. You want at least 4 or 5 offensive linemen. You want at least 1 or 2 tight ends. You want your defensive line. You want 2, 3 linebackers. You want 5, 6 DBs. Like you want to fill out everything. You want to essentially build a class with every recruiting class. You want to build a roster. And so for Will Griffin, that's your most important position. That's your guy. We spoke about him yesterday. I think he's got all of the physical tools to go ahead and be great. I think he just needs a lot of refinement with things. But as I mentioned, with similar to DJ Lagway's film, I don't think that they're equivalent players. I think DJ Lagway is 1 of 1. But similar to when talking about DJ Lagway, when we were watching his Willis film, it was, okay, he's running around a lot. Offensive line isn't exactly holding up for him. He's running around, scrambling, making plays with his legs before making a throw with his arm. And you watch Will Griffin play, and he's doing a lot of that. It's a lot of, the snap comes in, and before he finishes his drop, pressure is coming in. And so he's got to scramble around and make a play and just try to make something happen. And you see that a lot. And I think having that trait, like having the ability to go out there and escape pressure and evade pressure and extend the play, I think that's completely overlooked by a lot of people. That's football now. You don't have that and you go, oh, that's extra credit. Like that's a great thing that you can do. You're watching a quarterback now, and it's like, can you do that? Because you need to be able to do that. And Will Griffin can do that. Interior offensive lineman Janari Carr, we looked at his film the other day. We talked about that yesterday. And first off, I loved his film. I think that he's just, he seems mean, but in like the best way. I don't want my offensive lineman to be, soft, tender, nice. I want you to be an ass, honestly. Like I want you to be mean. I want you to be hated. And we've talked about this before where there are reps where, maybe someone gets by and people will say, oh, you lost the rep. And it's like, not really. Defensive lineman's job is not to beat the offensive lineman. It's to go get the quarterback. Offensive lineman's job is to keep him from doing that. And so as long as he doesn't do that, I feel like we're talking about, all right, well, you at least didn't lose that rep if they're not getting to the quarterback. Janari Carr, great athlete. I think he's got a ton of upside as a pass blocking guard, which is huge. We spoke about this yesterday as well, where, interior pass rush is becoming a premium. You're talking about the Caleb Bankses. You're talking about Aaron Donald. You're talking about all these Chris Jones, great pass rushers on the interior. And with that, interior pass protection needs to be put at more of a premium. The Carolina Panthers spent millions and millions of dollars investing in their guard room, making it a great guard room. Teams are spending first-round picks on guards again because interior pass rush is so good, and I think Janari Carr has all the tools to be a great pass-protecting guard at the next level. This offensive class, or the offensive side of this class, should fill out nicely here in the next few weeks. Hopefully another O-line or 2. And again, obviously you need more than just another O-line or 2 overall. I'm saying in the near future, we'll say in the month of June, another O-line or 2. Hopefully Carson Baker. He's the running back that I'm talking about, and I'm watching, and I'm like, yeah, that's the kid that I want running the football for my team. Great athlete, fast as hell, wide receiver speed. Again, same 100-meter time as Aiden Mizell, but which you can take how you want. But either way, whether you want to change the context or you want to change, that's not the top speed, whatever it is, he's moving. All right. You're not running that time if you're not fast as hell. And so Carson Baker is a running back that I want. I think he's a home run hitter. And I think that that's something that Florida could use more juice in the backfield. Hopefully a tight end. He's Kent, someone that I've been saying, I think Florida's leading for. I think Florida should be thought of as a leader for him, like publicly. I think that you look at Russ Callaway and he's Kent and their posts and how often they're posting together, even compared to other tight end recruits or for He's Kent, other schools. And it's very clear that Florida and He's Kent and Russ Callaway, they're all very much promoting one another there. And so I think the relationship there is great. I think it's very publicly, they had 4 of the tight ends on the roster went to go see He's Kent during his official visit at the facility. They were all there taking pictures. Like, they're going after him. And so I do think that he's got a lot of work to do. But again, we've talked about it before. Tight ends, the figure it out position. You're not playing for the first year. Just don't expect to. And so I think that you've got time to work there with He's Kent. Hopefully he's a commit for the Florida Gators soon. Hopefully a wide receiver or 2 in this class. I will say, or in this month for this class, I will say that this is just another spot where I don't care about the rankings, especially at receiver. I don't care about so much with receiver. Florida is going to be able to find guys in state that can come in, contribute, be big time players. And I do think that they should be able to do that. We will see what really happens. Brian Williams is probably the guy that I look at and I'm like, all right, well, he's got that X receiver size. If he bulks up a little bit, I do think he needs to, if he's going to be playing the X. But he's also just got physical traits that you can't teach. And I think that that's huge with his recruitment. So hopefully Florida really applies the pressure there. We are going to move to the defensive side of the ball, talking about this 2026 class in just a second with Locked On Gators. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day, we are available daily and free, whether it's in the podcast and on YouTube. And we're talking about the defensive side, where right now, again, Florida has just 4 commits in the class total, 2 offensive, 2 defensive, and Jameer Perez, JJ Perez, is another one of those. He's a defensive lineman. He's the 2nd commit in this class, and he is someone that we had the scouting report in yesterday's episode where just relentless pursuit of the football. Just, again, he needs work, of course. I think his hand technique needs a ton of work, but relentless pursuit of the football. He's got a bull rush that is effective. It's not something that he even looks to bring out every rep or anything like that. It's not like he's just like, okay, I have one move that works really well, I'm going to keep doing it, which we do see with some pass rushers where they go, all right, my spin move's really good, I'm just going to keep hammering the spin move. All right, my bull rush is really good, I'm just going to keep hammering the bull rush. Doesn't happen all the time like that. And JJ Perez is someone who knows when to pick and choose when to use it more often or not. Relentless pursuit of the football, like I said. I think he does a great job of, while engaged with a blocker, reaching out, making the stop, getting his arms on a defender or on a ball carrier. Pretty sure I made that same mistake yesterday, which is crazy. But you look at someone that could also play basically any spot on the defensive line, specifically on the interior. I don't think he's going to be playing stand-up edge rusher, but if you're talking about from the Cam Jackson to the Tyreek Sapp role, JJ Perez has lined up at all those spots. JJ Perez is someone who, when he committed to Florida, said he was shutting it down, said he was canceling his visits. And then it came out on, I want to say Monday, maybe Sunday, came out that Jameer Perez, JJ Perez, was going to be visiting with his home state, Ohio State Buckeyes, which was always a thing, right? Like, even when he committed, we're like, we'll see. He's an Ohio kid. If the Buckeyes want you, it's really hard to turn it down. So we'll see when that happens truly, because, once he puts out, oh yeah, I could be visiting this weekend, and then the school, any player that's committed to any school can say, hey, I'm going to visit this school this weekend. And then the school you're committed to can say, hey, we will, what do we have to do to get you to not go there? And that's a very common thing there. And so we'll see what happens with that visit and his recruitment. Safety Kaiden Hall, we spoke about before, committed to the class yesterday. Big name, had a commitment date set for July 1st. Changed that. Also, Janari Carr, who we spoke about last segment, had a commitment date set for June 25th. Obviously, Janari Carr and Kaiden Hall have both kind of slashed that commitment date to commit now to the Florida Gators. Defensive line and secondary should fill out a ton over the next few weeks, right? Like we've been talking, or I've been talking about, July 1st through July 5th. Like that should be a huge time. A lot of commitment dates set there. So I've been marking July 5th as my time of Florida's class should be filled out pretty nicely by July 5th with all the people that are supposed to be committing. And a lot of those players, the D-line, secondary, going to be piling up. And should be. Florida should be prioritizing these positions even more because there's a ton of talent in this 2026 class at those spots, but also you need more bodies in that room. I know every year we're talking about Florida bringing in a good D-line class, but every year Florida's losing multiple D-line. This past year, you lost, 3 jack players? I'll say edge players to the portal. You lost Cam Jackson. You lost Big Dez. You're replacing 5 guys right there off of contributors. Then, this coming year, you're going to lose Caleb Banks, Tariq Sapp, might lose George Gumps to the NFL, probably going to lose at least one person to the portal. You need to keep stacking defensive line talent because you're going to keep losing multiple players, and it's not a knock on you. You're just going to keep losing multiple players because that's football now, right? And you got guys going in the draft when you're filling out with talented players, that's going to happen. So D-line, we could keep talking about they're bringing a great class. You need to keep doing that. Games are won and lost in the trenches. Secondary, you need more bodies. I think right now that you could have used another 1 or 2 in the portal. You didn't get that. But you need to continue adding to the secondary, especially because you're coming up on a time where you're going to keep losing guys to the NFL draft. There's significant traction with a few linebackers. Florida, of course, had linebacker Isaiah Williams committed, but he flipped to Ole Miss for his 5th commitment of the cycle. So we'll see. Maybe Florida ends up spinning the block on that one, but I think Florida right now has enough traction with linebackers that they're waiting for answers from their top targets at the position. And if those top targets don't commit to Florida, then I think we see them maybe go for some of the bigger project players at the position. But I think right now, linebackers, one I'm not concerned about. Done a great job recruiting there. It's just a matter of actually saying, hey, our priority targets, let them make their decisions, and then we'll figure out the rest after that. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day, we are available daily and free, wherever it's in the podcast and on YouTube. We'll be back tomorrow. Talk more Florida Gators football for Locked On Gators. I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI, and I'll see you all next time.